It has now been several years since Wargaming released the Chieftain, and now it looks like Germany finally gets their equivalent. Welcome, my name is RagingRaptor, and today we're having a look at the Kampfpanzer 07P, the new tank for the German tech tree, which is coming to the assembly shop. Which means, yes, you gotta get loads of money out to get this tank. In general, I can already say that this tank feels very fun to play. It has specific weaknesses, it also has specific strengths, and it's a good mix of all around. Some people might even say it's just a leopard which went to the gym. Starting with the gun, it is a 120mm gun, which for some reason has less alpha than the gun of the Leopard 1. It only has 410 damage rather than 420. However, it still has great base penetration, 270 on APCR, 320 on heat, and it has HESH, obviously, which is really great because it has 525 alpha and 110mm of penetration. So this tank itself, especially with the gun handling, with the aim time, feels very comfortable to play. Every gameplay scene in the background you're seeing, I used no stabs. It was only HP turbo rammer. And no, it wasn't a bond ram, just so you ask, because the DPM is also really good in my personal opinion. Yes, it is not as good as a Super Conqueror, but it doesn't have to be. It is actually better than the formidable Chieftain tank. However, before you now go, oh my god, it really is a better Chieftain, I think it is time to have a look at its armor model, because this is basically where we will start noticing the issues which this tank have. Because on like this, obviously you don't see much. So let's just use its standard ammunition and go to a live model, and you suddenly see that looks not too bad, but also not too scary, because you have a pretty big cupola. You have a massive lower plate. So this is already a little bit of a oopsie. And yes, the upper front plate with the shovel, how our awesome epic guys would say, is pretty decent. Yes, those spots over here are penable and you can penetrate underneath the turret ring. But you have 110mm of side armor on the upper side, but only 70 on the lower side. So you have to keep that in mind, because this might be a little issue for you when it comes to 2 caliber rule. The thing about this damage model is that, yes, it is obviously really good when you go into a hull down situation, because the cupola starts to be very small. But if you start using premium rounds, you can see we can still penetrate here, and as soon as you're not really showing proper hold down, you can get also penetrated over here. This actually happened quite a bit to me. I only showed a little bit of my side of the turret, and suddenly people just slam through it with premium rounds, or not even with premium rounds, like even with standard rounds you can easily slam through here, simply because it is very oddly shaped when we look from above again. And this makes the tank fairly okay to fight against, because it's not just, oh, I'm hull down, you're not going to pen me, like the Chieftain is. Another thing about this tank, which is very annoying, and obviously this might a little bit be, oh, new tank syndrome, the amount of RD focus is depressing, to say the least. It's very depressing, in fact. Again, it might be new tank syndrome, it might be that it's just that tier 10 games are 2 RDs all the time, but 45mm, 30mm, 30mm, 20mm. This thing eats massive amount of damage from RT focus, and this is very frustrating. It makes it very unfun to play. Another point about this tank is that, as you can see here, we have our driver, and it is a Leopard 1, which is just more beefy, right? That means this spot right here is where your ammo rack is. So yeah, have fun with that when you start exploding. Well, not really explode, but get very often module damage with it. Other than that, again, the armor model, it works. You can rely on it fairly decently, but it's a tank which excels in getting into a quick corridor position. For example, Pearl River. the heavy line where it can stay hull down. This is where it excels. Westfield, it's pretty decent, but it only has 8 degrees of gun depression, not 10. So this might be a little bit of an issue. You notice that. This is another point why it's not really a German chieftain. Or on the other hand, it actually is a German chieftain, you know? It has better gun handling than a Chief. It has similar DPM than a Chief, but in the end it is still German, so it can't be as good as a Chief. Thank God. Mobility wise, it's actually amazing. Like 50 kph top speed, and when you use a turbocharger, that thing is going. We have 55 top speed with the turbo, we have 20 kph in reverse speed, and we have 18 HP per ton ratio. Add to that 410 meters of fuel range, 2200 base HP, and I have to say this thing is a very, very, very good all-round heavy tank. And this is where we come to the issue about this tank. Why does it have to be an assembly shop? Because as we all know, the assembly shop tanks have not yet been sold ever again. No 780, no Lion, and most likely not for quite some time. Which on one hand makes sense, because obviously you want to keep them special, unique, for being assembly shop tanks, which have been very, very expensive, because yes, this thing is going to cost 1 million free XP again. Obviously you can still use some credits, you can still use some bonds, some blueprints, etc. But you know, the bulk of your money will most likely come from the credits, from the free XP. The credits would be, if you like to get it only for credits, it's 125 million, just to so you know that. But again, 1.25 million is 1%. So if you have like 15, or if you have 10 million, 12 million credits, you get 10% basically. Yeah. But the main problem is I simply don't know when exactly we are going to ever get such a tank again, because it is a fun tank, it is a great tank, and it doesn't feel completely overpowered. Again, it doesn't have the alpha of the Chieftain, it doesn't have 10 degrees of gun depression, it doesn't have the turret of the Chieftain, because the turret is still much stronger on the Chief than it is on this tank. However, it feels like a proper 2023 tank. It doesn't have any gimmicks, but it feels fair to play, but also fair to play against, and especially great gun handling makes it fun to play. It's not just like and it's not like the BZ-75 where you have like 6 bajillion cupola weak spots with bad gun handling, making it frustrating to play, at least in my opinion. This thing feels good, and this is why it is just so annoying that it is locked behind a literal paywall, being the assembly shop. Regardless, that's the Kampfpanzer 07P, a really cool and unique tank. You will be able to get 25,000 of these with a style, with the numbered style yet again, and you will be able to get an additional 50,000 on the US server. For NA, it's a little bit different, because as we all know, NA is a dead server anyway. Sorry guys. The NA people are just used to it at this point. NA has 5,000 tanks with numbers and 10,000 without styles. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. I might be doing more videos yet again. Also, don't forget to check out my video on the F4X Phantom on my War Thunder channel, because even though it is on the War Thunder channel, there is a lot about history and not a lot about War Thunder itself. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck on the battlefield, and good luck building this tank if you go for it.